The figures have been falling in the UK recently, but we still have the highest totals in Europe. And here in Liverpool, St Helens as well, you don't get away with this. The number of teenagers becoming pregnant remain stubbornly high, but just how much of an issue is teenage pregnancy? Joining me now is Chester charity worker Gareth Cheesman, who visits schools giving young people the information that they need. Good morning to you, Gareth.
Good morning.
So what is the information that they need?
I think it's a mixture. They need to know, obviously, some of the basic biological details about what is pregnancy, how they could fall pregnant, and how that could be prevented. But more than that, they need to understand kind of pregnancy in a wider kind of view of what is parenthood and what are relationships, and try and understand it as a whole thing rather than just a purely biological.
Do they understand it? Do you have to win them over when you go in? Do they see you as just another speed bump in their day?
I think most of them are just relieved that someone's finally talking to them. I think they feel generally a lack of adults willing to broach the topic with them. And obviously there are always some wonderful exceptions of brilliant parents who provide excellent upfront honest advice. But many young people could just kind of struggle in a vacuum of anybody just willing to broach the topic.
Why are we still seeing teenage mums, though? I mean, sex education has been around for many years now. Are they just not listening? Are we just not doing it in the right way? Are we not educating in the right way? Whose responsibility is it? How is this going to work?
I think it's the teenage pregnancy figures are interesting, but they don't tell the whole story. They're brilliant for tracking long-term trends about what's happening, but they don't go into any detail. So they don't explain whether this is accidental pregnancies with people who weren't listening or weren't given the advice about how to avoid pregnancy, or whether it was young mums or young people, having some kind of deliberate intention. And those are two slightly different issues, and we need to address both of them, because I suspect the truth is it's both. There are some who it's purely accidental, and others where there's an element of desire.
I'm looking at some of the comments that we've had on the programme today, and words used: housing list, benefits, teenage pregnancy. There seems to be a lack of relationship and love and children here. These are major factors.
Yeah, and I think that the key thing to kind of aim for is to look to change part of the culture by bringing in much more kind of material in the schools and in youth club as well, which talk about what does it mean to be a parent? What kind of relationships do you want to be in, and to raise people's aspirations and their expectations. So what they're aiming for in their life is something which is really healthy for them and really healthy for any family they may have.
Easy to tar every teenager with the same brush, isn't there? But
yes.
But is there a typical teenage mum?
No, I don't think there is. I think regardless of intent, whether it was a deliberate or accidental pregnancy, I think some young mums prove to be brilliant, absolutely loving, caring, and really able to do the job brilliantly, whereas others struggle, and that's largely, I think, to do with who is around them, what support systems they have in place, whether that's statutory support agencies or friends and family. And it's impossible to clarify what is a teen mum.
Get a baby, get a house, get on the housing list, get some benefits. That seems to be the case. Am I way off mark with that?
It's the common myth, and that part of our work needs to be to kind of dispel that myth. That it's not an automatic. Just because someone will get a baby doesn't mean that they will instantly get a house. And just because they know one person that they are vaguely related to, it happened to them that way, it's not the reality on the ground. And many young mums who do it for that reason will be disappointed, because they won't find themselves getting the house they want, or the type of house they want, or any house at all.
Do dads get the nose pushed out in this? Because there never seems to be much mention of teenage dads.
Yes, I think sometimes they do, and that's why I think that we need to look more at parenthood as a whole, about what it means to be a parent, both mum and dad, because it's often forgotten. And again, that's why the figures don't always tell the whole story, because they don't say how many of these young pregnancies and these teenage pregnancies is a father involved, because it can have a significant impact on the mum's welfare and the child's welfare.
I've got a 13-year-old son, and at some point, I'm going to sit down with him and have the conversation. Anyone who's done that, they will tell you, Oh, Dad, I don't want to talk about. Oh, Dad, don't talk to me. Oh, Dad, don't talk. You're going to come up against all of that stuff, you know, and it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there is sometimes this kickback, this reaction against it, but there is a genuine desire for young people. They want information. They want people to talk about them.
But do they want it from the dad, or would it be better coming from an uncle or a mate or something like that?
Ideally, I think it should come from both. I think it is brilliant when parents, teachers, youth workers, friends can all be kind of singing off the same song sheet. You know, they're all providing the same information. I think sometimes that you get that element of the teenage years where there is a kind of kickback against parents. And sometimes you'll find that earlier teenagers may be more willing, but that young group of 13 to 15 may be particularly not wanting to listen to their parents.
Gareth, before I let you go, let me just bounce a couple of our listeners' comments off you at the moment. This is from Paul. With the current social and educational approach to unwanted pregnancies, there is no excuse whatsoever for teenage pregnancy other than ignorance and selfishness.
I think that's too harsh, because the truth in schools, we don't have universal sex and relationship education. We don't have universal access, the easy access to contraception. Lots of young people will find that they don't know the information because their school doesn't prioritise it.
Refuse them benefits, don't give them a house, and take this dangling carrot away from them, and the pregnancy rates would drop overnight. I
think the carrot is a bit of a myth. That many of the pregnancies aren't related to that, and it's not there already.
And one final point, Gareth, why are we the worst in Europe here?
Honestly, because we don't talk about sex enough, I believe. I believe if we talked about sex more and we had more honest conversations from an earlier age, there would be more. There would be a greater reduction, and we are having a reduction over time, but it would speed up if we talked more about it and from a younger age.
Good to talk to you, Gareth. Thank you very much indeed. Do let me know at home as well if you had that conversation. How did it go? Or from